Left for dead among monsters, she cried so loud a human showed up just to shut her up. The ground shuddered. Kale bit back a scream, his ribs screaming louder than the alien monster he just dropped. His ship, the Stardust Drifter, was a smoking crater behind him, its cryopods split open like rotten fruit. He was lucky to be alive. That luck evaporated the second he heard it, a keening, guttural wail echoing through the lava-lit caverns. Not a monster, a female, and she was loud. Too damn loud. He dragged himself over jagged mineral shards, the air thick with sulfur and ozone. The wailing intensified, raw and furious. What the hell was she crying about? He pictured some alien kid, lost, alone. Instead, he found her. She was a giant, probably 8 feet tall, all lean muscle and chitinous plates that gleamed faintly in the hellish red light. Her skin, where visible, was etched with swirling, bioluminescent tattoos that pulsed with her ragged breaths. She knelt on a slab of black rock, one of her 4 powerful arms clutching her stomach, the other 3 balled into fists. Her face, sharp-boned and angular, was contorted in a grimace that looked more like fury than sorrow. Her throat nodes hummed, a low thrum that vibrated the very air, fueling that goddamn ear-splitting cry. "Hey!" Kale rasped, his voice raw. "Shut up!" Her head snapped up, glowing yellow eyes fixing on him. The wail choked off, replaced by a low growl. She rose, unfolding to her full height, easily twice his size. He was a jaded bounty hunter, a survivor of 1,000 bad deals. But this was new. Her exposed midriff bore a fresh, jagged wound, still seeping dark ichor. That's why she was crying. Not from fear, but from rage. She'd been hurt, and she hated it. He could almost respect that. Almost. "Human," she rumbled, the sound like grinding rock. Her voice, even in its injured state, was commanding, vibrating in his chest. "You command me?" "Yeah, I do." Kale shot back, pushing himself to his feet. Every muscle protested. "Unless you want whatever took a chunk out of you to come back for the rest, attracted by your lamentations. Your cry is a goddamn beacon." He spat the last word, the taste of ash on his tongue. He gripped the plasma pistol, its power cell barely charged. "So, shut up or die, lady. Your choice." Her glowing eyes narrowed, not with fear, but with an intense, predatory curiosity. A faint hum vibrated from her throat nodes, almost a purr. "A male of your soft-skinned species offers me terms?" she said, her voice laced with a strange amusement. "You are defiant. I am Zylara, of the Obsidian Queens, and I do not lament, I rage, and you will learn respect. Meat sack." He just blinked. Meat sack? This was going to be a long day. Kale didn't get a chance to retort. A shriek, far more monstrous than Zylara's lament, echoed from the deeper recesses of the cavern. It was followed by the skittering rush of multiple limbs on rock. "See?" Kale hissed, gesturing wildly with his chin. "Told you, you just rang the dinner bell." Zylara whirled, her forearms flexing, her glowing tattoos flaring brighter with a surge of energy. Her eyes, still locked on him a moment before, now scanned the darkness with intense focus. She moved with an unsettling grace for her size, a predatory ballet of chitin and muscle. "Fools!" she snarled, her voice a low rumble that bordered on a purr. "They believe my blood will sate them." She turned back to Kale, her gaze dismissive but sharp. "You are slow, human, but you are. Here, for now, you will keep pace." Before Kale could even process that, she launched herself forward, a blur of motion. He scrambled after her, cursing under his breath. This was not how he'd planned to spend his post-crash hours. His ribs burned with every jarring step. The passage narrowed, barely wide enough for Kale to squeeze through. Zylara, despite her bulk, flowed through it with ease. He heard the telltale clicking of the creatures behind them, the ancient blood cultists, he guessed. He'd heard whispers of them on the outer rim worlds, twisted things that craved the life essence of anything living, especially new arrivals. And they definitely craved Zylara, and now, him. "You're going the wrong way, Queenie," Kale yelled, stumbling over a loose rock. "We need to find a way out, not deeper into their nest." "Silence, lesser male," Zylara commanded, not even slowing. "This is the only path. The hunt must conclude where it began. The hunt? Is that what we're calling this? I'm pretty sure I'm just trying not to become alien Chow. She stopped abruptly at a wider chamber, a vast, echoing space lit by the pulsating glow of massive mineral veins in the walls. Her head tilted, her humming throat nodes vibrating faster. Your Chow is merely the consequence of your weakness. I am Xylera, and I do not flee. I lead. Before he could argue, a wave of the cultists surged into the chamber behind them. They were arachnid-like, multi-limbed horrors with sickly pale bodies and glowing red eyes. Kale fired a desperate shot, the plasma sizzle momentarily blinding one. Xylara roared, a sound that shook the very air, and lunged. Her chitinous arms moved like blurs, ripping through the cultists with brutal efficiency. One she impaled on a sharpened forearm blade, another she crushed with a single blow. Kale watched, jaw agape, as she fought with a savage grace. This wasn't just a warrior, this was a force of nature. He was just trying to keep from getting stepped on. He managed a few more shots, picking off cultists that got too close, but his energy was flagging. Xylera was relentless, a whirling dervish of destruction, but there were too many of them. He saw her falter, one of the cultists managing to swipe at her injured flank. A fresh gash opened, and she roared in pain and fury. "Fuck!" Kale yelled, scrambling for cover. "They'll swarm us!" He tried to think, tried to find an advantage. She might be a queen, but even queens could be overwhelmed, and he definitely didn't want to be caught in the undertow. The cavern pulsed with a chaotic symphony of battle. Xylera's snarls, Kale's grunts, the chitinous clicking of the cultists, and the low, resonant hum of the lava rock itself. Xylera, despite her ferocity, was beginning to be pressed. More of the blood cultists swarmed from side passages, their numbers endless. Kale's plasma pistol was almost out of juice. He needed a plan, and fast. "Queen of the Obsidian!" Kale yelled, dodging a lunge. "You got an escape hatch, or are we just going to dance until we're both goo?" Xylara, effortlessly tearing a cultist in two, didn't even look at him. "There is no escape, human. Only conclusion. This chamber, it is an arena of trials. My lineage bled here, so shall I, if destiny wills it. Destiny can suck my dick." Kale fired his last charged shot, hitting a cultist in its spindly leg. It writhed but kept coming. "We need a choke point, a bottleneck, something that puts their numbers against them." Her head snapped toward him, her glowing eyes fixing on his with an intensity that made him shiver. "You speak of strategy? You? A soft-skinned scavenger?" The word was laced with disdain, yet also a flicker of something else. "Curiosity." "Yeah, strategy," Kale grunted, wiping sweat from his brow. "I'm not just a pretty face, lady, or a meat sack for that matter. Unless you enjoy being outnumbered like this, it's either my way or we're both going to be on the menu." He gestured wildly towards a narrow crevice leading off into even deeper darkness. "In there, they can only come at us one or two at a time." Xylera stared at the crevice, then back at the relentless surge of cultists. A low hum vibrated from her throat, a sound Kyle was beginning to associate with her assessing him. "You propose? Confinement? A cage with a hunter?" "It's not a cage, it's a tactical retreat. It's a fucking death trap out here," Kale yelled, his voice strained. "We limit their access, we take them out as they come. It's basic survival, Queenie." She let out a harsh, guttural sound that might have been a laugh. "You dare suggest a mating chamber to me, human? Is this your species' prelude to the claim?" Kale froze. "A what now? No, I said choke point, a tactical advantage. We fight them from a defensible position." He threw his hands up in exasperation. "There's no mating involved, just not dying." Xylera's eyes shimmered. She seemed to consider his words, her head tilted, then looked from him to the approaching cultists. Her decision was sudden. "Very well," she rumbled, her voice oddly soft. "A confined space it is. Let us see if your choke point proves worthy of my interest, but know this, human, in the deep places, the ancient ways awaken. And if we survive, you will answer for this proposition." She pushed him roughly towards the crevice. Kale stumbled, barely catching himself. Answer for what? He was just trying to stay alive. This alien was completely unhinged. The crevice was barely wide enough for Xylera to squeeze through, her chitin scraping against the rough rock. Kale, already winded, followed, his back screaming in protest. The air grew thicker, hotter, the oppressive smell of minerals and something else, something ancient and primal choking him. Ahead, the passage opened into a smaller, but still vast, cavern. It wasn't lit by lava flows, but by pulsating veins of bioluminescent crystals embedded in the walls and ceiling, casting a soft, otherworldly glow. "This is it," Xylara stated, her voice echoing. She turned, her massive frame filling the narrow opening they'd come through, effectively blocking any immediate pursuit. "My ancestors consecrated these deeper caves. They are places of proving and claim." Kale gripped his empty plasma pistol, his eyes darting around the space. It was unsettlingly beautiful, but also deeply unnerving. He could hear the scuttling of the blood cultists, trapped in the passage outside, trying to force their way in. "Proving what?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "How long we can go without food? Look, we need to find another way out of here." She didn't answer. Instead, she took a step towards him, her glowing eyes fixed on his. "You call this a mating chamber," she stated, her voice a low, resonant thrum. It wasn't a question. "Such words have power. In my lineage, to name a space for the joining is to invite its purpose." Kale's jaw dropped. "No, I said choke point, a defensible position. You misheard me, or mistranslated, whatever." He took a step back, hitting a rough wall. "There's no mating here, there's just cultists and us." Xylara took another step, closing the distance between them. The air around her shimmered, and Kale felt a strange, primal hum resonate within his own bones. Her scent, sharp and exotic, filled his nostrils, intoxicating and alarming all at once. "Your denial holds little weight, human. Your body speaks a different truth. I feel its heat. Its readiness." She reached out, one of her four hands slowly, deliberately, tracing the line of his jaw. Her chitinous fingers were surprisingly gentle, yet firm. Kale's breath hitched. His body, despite his mental protests, was reacting. The forced proximity, the adrenaline, the sheer, raw power of her presence, it was all a potent cocktail. "Look, lady, I'm just trying to survive. My body's ready to run, not whatever you think it's ready for." Her glowing eyes narrowed, a predatory glint in them. "Resistance is a common prelude to the surrender, human. And this space, it calls for it. My ancestors demand a proving of strength, a joining. Now," her hum intensified, vibrating through him, settling deep in his core. It wasn't just a sound, it was a physical sensation, an invitation, a command. He swallowed hard, his heart hammered against his ribs. He was trapped. By her, and by his own damn body's betrayal. The air thrummed with Xylara's intensified hum, vibrating through Kale's bones, stirring something ancient and primal within him. Her forearms, powerful and gleaming, wrapped around him, lifting him effortlessly. Kale gasped, his feet leaving the ground. He was pressed against her hard, chitinous plates, feeling the fierce heat radiating from her skin beneath. Her scent, a mix of ozone and something muskier, more intoxicating, filled his senses. "This is not a fight," Xylara rumbled, her voice low and intimate, a stark contrast to her earlier commands. "This is the ritual of claim, the surrender of flesh." "Surrender? I'm not surrendering to anything," Kale protested, though his voice lacked conviction. His hands instinctively pushed against her, finding purchase on the slick, warm surface of her armor. The texture was strange, alien, yet undeniably stimulating. Her glowing tattoos pulsed, casting shifting patterns of light across his face. She pinned his hands above his head with two of her arms, her grip absolute. The other two began to explore him, her movements deliberate, almost reverent, yet utterly dominant. Her touch was searing, tracing the lines of his body, finding every nerve ending. Kale's breath hitched. He felt an unwelcome, insistent heat building low in his belly. "What? What are you doing?" "I am confirming your readiness," Xylara murmured, her face close to his, her glowing eyes devouring him. "The heat in your blood, the quickening of your heart. You deny the ancient ways, human, but your body sings their truth." One of her free hands drifted lower, pressing against his jeans. A low gasp escaped Kale. He felt a blush creep up his neck. This was no fight for survival against cultists. This was a fight against himself. His mind screamed defiance, but his body was betraying him, responding to her alien touch with a shocking intensity. Every nerve ending was alive, humming. He was rigid, his muscles coiled, but not in resistance, not entirely. Xylara's hum deepened, a low, resonant note that seemed to sink into his very core. She leaned in, her mandibles shifting slightly, and he felt a strange, damp sensation on his neck, followed by a sharp prick. "The mark of the claim," she whispered, her voice husky. "Now you are truly bound. To me, to the ritual, to the heat." His body surged, a wave of raw sensation coursing through him. He couldn't fight it. He didn't want to. His last thought before the world dissolved into sensation was a single, profane word: fuck. He came back to himself slowly, the hum still resonating, but softer now, a gentle vibration against his chest. KL lay sprawled on the cool mineral floor, Silara's massive form still partly over him, her weight comforting, possessive. His body throbbed, every nerve ending tingling, a profound exhaustion settling over him mixed with a lingering, disorienting pleasure. What in the actual hell had just happened? He looked up at her, her face unreadable in the dim, pulsing light of the crystals. Her glowing tattoos were still faintly alight, but the fierce energy had receded, replaced by a quiet intensity. "What was that?" Kale rasped, his voice hoarse. "That wasn't consent. That was an alien ritual where I had no say." Xylara shifted, propping herself up on her elbows. Her eyes, usually so fierce, held a strange softness. "Consent, human, is a concept of the weak. The claim is not requested, it is taken. It is earned through dominance, through the proving. And you proved worthy." She gestured to his neck, where a small, throbbing mark pulsed faintly. It was warm, almost burning. "The claim mark. It seals the bond, my blood for your surrender." Kale reached up, touching the mark. It felt alien, yet strangely familiar, like a part of him had always been waiting for it. "Your blood? You bit me?" He remembered the prick. "What the hell does bond mean to you?" "It means you are mine," Xylara stated simply, her voice firm, possessive. "My mate, my protector, and I am yours, to ensure your survival, to grant you my strength, to share my lineage." Her gaze was unblinking. The heat between us was undeniable. It called for the joining. You felt it. You responded. Your denial was merely a veil. Your body spoke the truth of your desire, human. "Do not lie to me or to yourself." He couldn't deny it. The physical response had been overwhelming. A primal instinct he hadn't known he possessed. He had fought, but a part of him had yearned for it, for her, for the raw, untamed power she embodied. A flush of shame and a surge of unexpected longing washed over him. "So, what now? We're bonded? You own me?" Zilara leaned closer, her hum returning, a soft rumble in her chest. "Ownership is a crude term. It is a shared existence. My people, the Zilara, we bond fiercely, for life. And now that you bear my mark, and I, your essence—" She paused, a flicker of what Kale interpreted as amusement in her eyes. "No one else may touch you. No one may challenge this claim." Just as she finished, a guttural shriek echoed from the passage they had come through. The cultists were breaking through. Kale felt a jolt of primal fear, but it was quickly replaced by something else, a strange, possessive surge. His mate, his problem, and now, their problem. "Speak of the devil," he muttered, pushing himself up, his muscles aching but strangely revitalized. "Or in this case, the blood-sucking monster." Xylara was already rising, her forearms flexing, her glowing tattoos flaring with renewed energy. Her eyes, when she looked at the encroaching darkness, were no longer just fierce. They held a new, chilling protectiveness, a terrifying, beautiful claim. The blood cultists, empowered by the scent of recent activity, surged into the chamber like a tide of chittering limbs and pale bodies. But this time, Xylara was different. Her movements were not just aggressive, they were precise, imbued with a cold fury Kale hadn't seen before. "They dare defile my claim!" she roared, her voice a resonant echo that made the very crystals vibrate. She moved with a purpose, a lethal grace, her forearms a blur of striking, impaling, and tearing. Each blow was delivered with a savage efficiency that suggested not just strength, but a deep, ingrained knowledge of anatomy. Kale, despite his lingering confusion and exhaustion, found himself moving with her, a strange, almost instinctual coordination guiding him. He retrieved a dropped cultist's bone blade, its edge surprisingly sharp, and began hacking at the creatures that swarmed past Xylera. He was no stranger to a fight, but this was different. He felt connected to her, a strange, almost psychic link, sensing her movements, anticipating her needs. It was as if their bodies, despite their vast differences, had found a rhythm, a deadly dance. "To my flank, human," Xylera commanded, without looking at him, as she ripped the head off a cultist. Kale pivoted instantly, deflecting a lunge and burying his makeshift blade into the attacker's sickly pale flesh. He grunted, pulling it free. His heart hammered, not from fear, but from the sheer, raw adrenaline of fighting alongside her. "Your flank is covered, Queenie," he yelled back, a grin tugging at his lips despite the dire circumstances. There was a strange exhilaration in this. He felt powerful, a part of something ancient and unstoppable. A cultist, larger and more mutated than the others, broke through Xylera's initial assault, heading directly for Kale. Its red eyes glowed with malevolent intent. Kale braced himself, raising his bone blade. Before it could reach him, Xylera was there, a blur of motion. She intercepted it, not with a direct strike, but a swift, almost tender embrace that ended with a sickening crunch as she twisted, snapping its neck with a single, horrifying crack. She then flung the corpse aside, her eyes locking onto Kale's. "No creature may harm what is mine," she growled, her voice a low, possessive rumble. It wasn't a threat, it was a statement of fact, a promise. Her face, usually so commanding, held a hint of primal ferocity, a protective instinct that sent a shiver down Kale's spine. He felt an answering surge of his own. This wasn't just survival anymore. This was shared fury. This was theirs. The tide of cultists, though vast, eventually began to recede, their numbers thinned by Xylera's ruthless efficiency and Kale's desperate, surprisingly effective support. The cavern floor was littered with mangled corpses and the lingering, acrid smell of alien blood. Xylera stood tall amidst the carnage, her glowing tattoos still pulsing, though fainter now. Her breathing was heavy, the hum from her throat nodes a steady thrum. Kale leaned against a crystal formation, chest heaving, the bone blade clutched in a numb hand. "Well," Kale rasped, pushing himself upright. "That was eventful. You almost make a decent bodyguard, Queenie." He tried for sarcasm, but it came out more like grudging admiration. Xylera turned, her glowing eyes fixed on him. The ferocity in them had softened, replaced by a deep, assessing gaze. "You fought well, human, for one of your fragile kind." Her gaze dropped to the claim mark on his neck, which pulsed with a soft, warm light. "The bond strengthens. It aided us, as it will continue to do." She took a step closer, and Kale didn't flinch. He just watched her, the raw power she exuded still palpable, but now tinged with something else, a strange, almost tender possessiveness. "This place," she said, gesturing around the blood-spattered cavern. "It is not a choke point, human. It is a sacred proving ground, and you proved yourself worthy, not just of my lust, but of my strength." She reached out, a single, chitinous finger tracing the line of his jaw once more. It sent a familiar shiver through him. "So what happens now?" Kale asked, his voice low. "Are we stuck here, or is there an exit you forgot to mention?" Xylera's humming deepened. "The exit is revealed to those who complete the ritual. We have. The claim is sealed, the bond is forged. And now, we must face the consequences of such a powerful joining." Her eyes, for the first time, held a flicker of something Kale recognized as vulnerability, quickly masked by her customary pride. "My people. They will know." The claim mark pulses with a resonance that cannot be hidden. A male of another species, taken as mate, it will be challenged. But my claim is absolute, and your presence will be necessary. Kale sighed. "Great. So I go from being left for dead to being your trophy husband in some alien culture war. Fantastic. He ran a hand through his hair, still covered in alien ichor. Just tell me this, Queenie. What does a necessary presence entail? Xylara's lips, so rarely showing emotion, curved slightly, a faint, almost imperceptible smile. It entails sharing my den, sharing my hunt, and sharing the heat that now binds us, human, for eternity. She extended a hand, palm up. Kale hesitated for only a moment, then took it. Her grip was strong, firm, a promise and a command. He was bonded, and somehow, against all odds, he felt a strange, thrilling acceptance. This alien queen, she hadn't just shut him up, she'd claimed him, and he was beginning to think he might just like it.